Most business owners are great at what they do. Genuinely great. Their customers love them, referrals come in, and the work speaks for itself. And yet, somewhere between someone mentioned your name to me and let's get started, deals fall apart. It's not because the service was wrong or because the price was off, it's because the conversation never had a shape. Today, we're going to fix that. You're going to describe what you sell, paste it into Claude, and get back a sales conversation guide built specifically around your service, your customer, and the situations where those conversations actually happen. Let's get into it. Here's the thing nobody tells you when you start a service business: being excellent at the work does not automatically make you excellent at talking about the work. And that gap is not a personality flaw. It's not a confidence problem. It's a structure problem. Most people have never been given a framework for how a sales conversation is supposed to go. They wing it every time, and winging it feels fine until you notice how many conversations drift without going anywhere. The service is good. The customer was interested. Something just did not click. That's the gap we're going to close today. Think about the best version of a new customer. Someone who already trusts you. A neighbor mentioned your name, a friend vouched for you, and this person showed up already warm. That's the highest quality lead a small business gets. And even then, the conversation has to do its job. The trust got them to the table. What you say next is what closes it. Most business owners have never been taught what to do with that moment. They know their service inside and out. They just do not know how to walk someone through a conversation that ends with a yes. So here's what usually happens: someone asks what you do, and you tell them. You describe the service, maybe walk through the options, give a rough sense of what it costs, and wait to see how they react. And they nod. They say that sounds great. They say they'll think about it, and the conversation drifts into something else, and nothing happens. The problem isn't your pitch. The problem is the sequence. You presented before you understood what they actually needed. And when you skip the understanding part, even a perfect pitch lands flat. The conversation needed a different shape from the start. A well run sales conversation is not improvised. It follows four moves in order every time. You open in a way that leads with their situation, not your service. You ask questions before you present anything, so you actually understand what they're dealing with. You present after you have that understanding, which means your talk track is tailored instead of generic. And you handle whatever comes up at the end with responses that are honest and confident without caving. Four moves every time. That structure is what separates conversations that go somewhere from ones that drift. And most people have never had anyone build that structure for them around their specific service. If you wanted a sales framework built the right way, their traditional path was a sales trainer or a consultant. You would book time, pay the fee, spend a day in a workshop, and walk out with something that was better than nothing, but still built for a generic business in a generic industry. Then you would spend the next few weeks trying to adapt it to your actual customers, your actual service, and the actual way your conversations happen. That was the best available option. Until recently, that was just the cost of doing it right. Here's what changes. Instead of adapting a generic framework to your situation, you start with your situation. You describe your service in plain language. You tell Claude who your customer is. You describe where these conversations usually happen. That's the entire input. Your words, your customer, your context. What comes back is not a template you have to fit yourself into. It's a conversation guide built from what you actually told it. And it takes about 30 seconds. You don't need to prepare anything. You don't need to organize your thoughts or format anything in a special way. You write one paragraph the way you would describe your business to a friend: what you sell, who your customer is, where these conversations tend to happen. That's it. Claude takes that paragraph and builds out the full structure. Openers that do not feel like a pitch, discovery questions to ask before you present anything, a talk track built around the customer's situation, and responses to the objections that actually kills deals. All of it drawn from the paragraph you wrote. Let's see it happen. Our example is a lawn care owner. Weekly and bi-weekly mowing, fertilization, and weed control. Residential homeowners do not want to think about their lawn, but care how it looks. Most new business comes from referrals, and he wants to get better at turning conversations at neighborhood events into actual customers. Let's get into Claude. One paragraph. Here's the system prompt we're using, and then we paste the description as the user message. For the system prompt, you are a sales conversation coach. A business owner has described what they sell and who they sell it to. Your job is to build a practical sales conversation guide they can use in real conversations starting today. Return exactly 4 labeled sections. 1. How to open. 2 to 3 specific ways to start the conversation that lead with the customer situation, not the product. Each opener is 1 to 2 sentences. 2. How to uncover need. 5 questions to ask before presenting anything. Each question is 1 sentence. Questions should surface what the customer has tried, what is not working, and what a good outcome looks like to them. 3. How to present the solution. A 3 to 4 sentence talk track for introducing what you offer after need is established. Use the business description provided. Lead with the problem it solves, not the features. And 4. How to handle the 3 hardest objections. For each objection, name it. Then give a 2 to 3 sentence response that acknowledges it without caving to it. Return only these 4 sections. No preamble, no encouragement, no advice outside the sections. We'll give Claude these directions. Tell me about your business and I'll build your guide. Here's our user input for this example. I run a lawn care company in a mid-sized Midwest city. I offer weekly and bi-weekly mowing, fertilization, and weed control for residential homeowners. My typical customer is a busy homeowner between 35 and 60 who does not want to think about their lawn but cares how it looks. Most of my new business comes from referrals. I'm trying to get better at turning conversations at neighborhood events or with neighbors into actual customers. Let's see what Claude can do with this one. How to open. I noticed your lawn on the way in. Are you handling all of that yourself or do you have someone helping you? How's the lawn holding up this year? I talked to a lot of people in the neighborhood and everyone seems to be fighting the same couple of issues. I don't know if the mutual neighbor mentioned it, but I take care of their lawn. I've been working in this neighborhood a while. How are things going with yours? How to uncover need. What does your current lawn routine look like? What's the part of lawn care that feels like the biggest hassle? Have you tried any fertilizing or weed control products on your own? When you look at your lawn, what's the one thing that bothers you most? If your lawn just took care of itself, what would that free you up to do on a Saturday morning? 3. How to present the solution. Most busy homeowners I work with don't want a project. They just want to pull into their driveway and feel good about what they see. I handle the mowing on a consistent weekly or bi-weekly schedule and layer in fertilization and weed control so the lawn actually improves over the season, not just gets cut. 4. How to handle the 3 hardest objections. It's too expensive. I hear that. I want to make sure you're comparing the full picture. I like doing it myself. That makes complete sense, and a lot of my customers said the same thing before they switched. And I need to think about it. Absolutely, it's not a small decision. Can I ask what the main thing you'd be thinking through? Most of the time, there's one real question underneath that, and if I can answer it now, it might save you the back and forth. 4 sections, 1 paragraph in, and that is the whole input. Look at what came back and what it's actually doing. The openers do not mention lawn care once. Every single one starts with what homeowner is probably dealing with right now. It's not an accident. It's what happens when the prompt is told who the customer is before it builds anything. The discovery questions are designed to surface what the customer has already tried, what's not been working, and what a good outcome actually looks like to them. Those answers are what make the talk track land. You're not guessing at what they need anymore. You asked. The talk track leads with the problem before it names the service. That sequencing is the whole game. When someone hears their own situation described back to them before you pitch anything, the pitch does not feel like a pitch. And the objection responses acknowledge the concern without caving to it. That's the move most people miss. You can take an objection seriously and still move the conversation forward. Look at the openers again. None of them start with, I run a lawn care company, or we offer mowing and fertilization. Every single one starts with what the customer is likely dealing with. That is the shift. And it sounds simple until you realize how rarely it happens in practice. Most service business owners have been starting conversations with their service for years, not because they were taught to, but because nobody ever taught them not to. When you lead with the customer's situation, you're signaling that you are paying attention to them before you have been paid to. That's what changes the tone of the whole conversation. Everything that follows feels different because of where it started. Here's where your judgment still does the real work. A framework gives you the sequence and the language. It tells you what to ask and when to present. But it cannot tell you how fast this particular person wants to move. It cannot tell you that this neighbor is the type who needs time to think, or that this person has clearly already decided and just wants to know the next step. Reading the room is yours. Tone is yours. Knowing when to slow down and let something land, and when to move forward because they're ready, that is still entirely human. The framework gets you into the conversation with structure. What you do inside it is still the work only you can do. You already know your customer. You've been serving them for years. You know what they care about, what they ask, and what usually makes them hesitate. What you have never had is that knowledge organized into a shape you can actually use in a conversation. That is the only thing missing. Not more experience, not a salesy personality, just a structure that fits what you actually sell and who you actually sell it to. That's what this prompt produces. One paragraph about your business and your customer, and what comes back is a conversation you can walk into with confidence. The prompt is in the description of the video. Try it before your next conversation. If you want to keep seeing what AI can actually do for a business like yours, subscribe so you catch the next one. And if you want to figure out where this fits in your specific situation, reach out to us at eauclairai.com and we'd be glad to talk. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.